Hey, this is Al from Transformational Gaming. Appreciate you coming by. Appreciate you coming to the channel. Today, I want to talk to you guys about the availability of the PS5 during the holiday season. You may have heard from different channels that the PlayStation is going to magically appear on store shelves during the holiday season, but I have reasons to contradict that thought, and today I want to discuss it on the channel. But before we get into all of that, I like to ask, if you like the channel and you like the subjects and you like the videos that we put up on the channel, feel free to come back to the channel and show us your love and dedication by doing various things to promote the channel. So getting back to the topic, so you may have read on various sites, various YouTube channels, that the PlayStation has got a reservoir of consoles that they plan to unleash during the holiday season. And very well they might. They may have some consoles somewhere and may be hoarding some consoles for the holiday season. But I just don't think that that's necessarily going to happen. I mean, people are still buying the PS5s because the PS5s are still too cheap, and people are hoarding them for resale at a higher price, and there's no other time to do it, especially since the console is still scarce than the holiday season. The holiday season is the perfect time to sell these consoles at a higher price. They know that grandmas and granddads and dads and moms is looking for little Timmy to get this console out. Now, one of the reasons people may be thinking, well, Sony may have a chance to have these consoles out because of the CHIP Act that was signed into law about 2 days ago by President Biden. Now, I'm not going to go into the history about the CHIP Act, but basically the CHIP Act is for subsidizing the manufacturing of chips. And today I want to give my thoughts on why the availability of the PS5 is still going to be difficult for people who plan on purchasing the PS5. Now, you can say, hey, the CHIP Act has been signed, there's hope. And I would agree with you for maybe 2024, but not 2023, and definitely not holiday 2022. And why do you say that? Well, the obvious reason would be, well, it takes a little while to build the manufacturing plants. But that's not the only reason why the CHIP Act is not going to save you from 2022, 2023, 2024, and possibly 2025. It's not just that. The real issue is the equipment that it takes to manufacture PS5s under the CHIP Act. And two of the biggest things is the cost, which is going to be subsidized. So you can say, hey, cost is negated. However, it's still in fact true that American workers just cost much more than Taiwanese workers. However, with that being said, you still have to overcome the manufacturing process. Now, I've tried to explain this to other people, so hopefully I got it down a lot more how to deliver this to you. So as to not make this as complicated as I can, the biggest piece to manufacturing, even at 10 nanometers and 5 nanometers, is an equipment called ASLM. Now, the real problem is not only this thing costs like $130 million, but this thing is so huge and so densely packed. This thing weighs about 100 tons. So trying to get this thing inside of the manufacturing plant is going to be difficult. But not only that, they only make so much of these per year. And so these are the newer versions of this machine. Of course, you can get a lot of versions of the machine, but I'm pretty sure they're probably the same size, if not bigger, especially with them being older. But the point I'm trying to say is DALSM machines are a monster. And I'm not going to necessarily go into how these things work, although you may be seeing them in the background on this video, but I'll have some of the references to these videos inside of the description page. But yes, that's the biggest part of the manufacturing and fab process. It's the ALSM machines, and getting these things in, not only inside of a warehouse, but getting enough of them to get a process going at 5 nanometer is going to be a monster. So what's probably going to happen is they're probably going to get an earlier version of these machines and put them all in the United States. And these are probably going to be, your 100 nanometer, your 50 nanometer, your 20 nanometer process. And then they probably keep the 5 nanometer processes in Taiwan. That's really the only way I can see them doing it. And honestly, if they could somehow get all the car manufacturing chip processes in the United States and leave all the smaller manufacturing processes like the 5 nanometer process in Taiwan, then that could possibly free up some asset allocation for chip process making in Taiwan to maybe build more PS5s and also allocate more processes over here for the cars and the other slower chip manufacturing over here. So I think it could work, and I think it could free up some processing, but the real issue is this stuff take years on top of years, and they only make 25 of them. And I'm pretty sure whatever manufacturing plant that they use, they probably have about at least 30 to maybe 50 of these things to work at capacity. And so it's just going to take a while because they only make 25 of these ALSM machines per year. So that is going to be a long, strenuous process. And not only configuring these machines, but to get them into the manufacturing plant. And so other chip manufacturers actually use these ALSM machines to build their chips on. So it's really a big issue as far as the allocations of these machines, because TSMC is not the only company that uses these ALSM machines, and they're pretty much a monopoly, and I'm talking about a world monopoly. There's big money to be passed around, and I do believe that the CHIP Act does provide a budget that's comparable for subsidizing the build process, but this stuff is going to take years to get done and to get all sorted out. And also, even though the money is being executed, there's still political red tape that you have to go through in order to access that money. So all of this political stuff is going to hamper the speed and time for these manufacturing plants. So I just don't think that there's no way that Sony is going to be able to ramp up production. Let's just say that TSMC is able to get more into the current plants that they have. Well, that's not going to offset the actual demand, which is the biggest problem. There's serious demands for these chips, and there's not enough yields, especially for the PS5, because that's what I try to get everybody to understand that I talk to this about. See, it's not just making the chips, it's testing these things and getting these things to work. And that's why Microsoft made the process that they made as far as having the Xbox Series S. But we've already gone through that on previous videos. The point I'm trying to say is that if you're looking for Sony to ramp up production of these units, it's not going to be this year. Again, unless they got a reservoir of chips or PS5s that nobody knows about, which I seriously doubt. They're just not going to be able to keep up with demand. The console is too cheap, Sony. Demand is a big thing on price point. And I knew these things were going to sell out. But that's enough for me. Guys, I would not let people sway you into thinking that there's going to be a magical genie that's going to pull PS5s on the shelves. If you have any comments or questions, please hit me up in the comments. You guys have been doing very good on subscribing, and we're up to 775. That's just a big dream of mine. I just never thought we would get that many subscribers, but it looks like we're marching on, and now we got to get the viewing hours up, and I believe we can do it. So just keep subscribing, keep coming back, support me, I support you, and we'll support each other. Until then, may the truth make you free. Later.